Hurricane Milton is barreling toward Florida's Gulf Coast, directly in its current path, the Tampa Bay metropolitan area, home to 3.1 million people. Many of the area's residents have one final day to either evacuate or hunker down and ride it out.
Panic buying at gas stations gripped Florida as Hurricane Milton closed in on the Tampa Bay area on Wednesday.
We've never had one like this because I've been here for 38 years and never had one that forced us to do this.
Meanwhile, officials continued to sound the alarm.
It's looking like the storm of the century.
At a White House briefing, President Joe Biden urged Florida residents to follow local safety recommendations. He also warned against disinformation about the storm and accused his predecessor of lying about ongoing relief efforts after Hurricane Helene.
Former President Trump has led the onslaught of lies. Assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. That's simply not true. They're saying the money is needed for this crisis is being diverted to migrants. What a ridiculous thing to say. It's not true. Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman of Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop.
FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell said the impact of the latest storm could be devastating.
Hurricane Milton is going to be a deadly and catastrophic storm. It will bring massive storm surge, high winds, and severe flooding as it moves across the state of Florida.
But what's at risk when this catastrophic storm hits? The Tampa Bay area of Florida is facing a major hurricane for the first time in over a century. Milton is forecast to hit the west coast of Florida late Wednesday or early Thursday and maintain hurricane strength when it reaches the Atlantic. Hurricane winds push seawater, called a storm surge, onto land. Milton is forecast to deliver a deadly storm surge of 10 feet or more of flooding to much of Florida's Gulf Coast. While wind speeds could drop and downgrade Milton to a lesser category, the size of the storm was growing on Wednesday. That puts more coastal areas in danger. Winds, carrying trees and debris, could damage standing homes and destroy mobile homes and cause power and communication outages. And then there's the rain. Some areas of central Florida will get up to 18 inches of precipitation. According to the National Hurricane Center, Milton brings a, quote, high risk of life-threatening flash and urban flooding in metro areas of Tampa, Orlando, and Daytona Beach. Tampa Bay, like the rest of Florida's Gulf of Mexico coastline, is vulnerable to storm surge. Its shallow, gently sloping ocean floor retains water pushed toward land by wind forcing the sea ashore. Barrier Islands near Clearwater and St. Petersburg are at particular risk. Officials are urging island residents to head for the mainland to avoid drowning. Evacuation orders have been given in low-lying areas and other vulnerable communities in 6 counties around Tampa Bay. Not all residents face mandatory evacuation, but around 1 million people in coastal areas do. Energy companies have also begun shutting down their pipelines and fuel delivery terminals ahead of Milton's expected landfall. The city of Tampa isn't used to storms on quite this scale. The National Weather Service says the area was last hit by a major hurricane in 1921. 8 people died, winds up to 120 miles per hour were recorded, and a storm surge as high as 11 feet destroyed coastal structures. Since then, its population has grown at nearly 7-fold. The unnamed hurricane in 1921 was a Category 3. Milton is expected to be a Category 5.